24.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
seconded by Gene Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Motion to approve the minutes from the work session meeting held on May 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. So that brings us to our treasurer's report. Charles?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Short report consistent with my last couple of reports. We continue to be in a very good financial position. In recent months, our revenues have been very good year to date, at or above budget, particularly the building department and the justice courts have exceeded budget. And all departments are better than last year. So that's a trend that we like to see. And our budget for next year, for the most part, continues that trend. Recent cash flows, very positive cash flows. We collected $2 million from surrounding municipalities that we support with fire and ambulance services. And we also collected $200,000 reimbursement from New York State for road paving in 2023. The recent paving that was done on Main Street will also get reimbursed from the state once we submit documentation. So that'll be in a month or two. So both good news. Expenditures, again, in line with expectations and budget. Nothing really notable in the month of March or April. I will tell you that we did make the final installment on the Harbor Master's boat. As you know, it's sitting in the harbor for using it, so that's fully paid and we're ready to go. That's really it.
Any questions for the treasurer? Not for me.
No.
Motion to accept his report.
Move it.
Motion. Seconded by trustee Corish. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. That brings us to our department committee reports. I will start with the police department, fire department, and ambulance corps. In the month of April 2024, the Sag Harbor Village Police Department responded to 699 calls for service. Of those calls, we had 7 aggravated unlicensed operation. We had 1 DWI MVA, which is a motor vehicle accident. We had 1 aggravated DWI. We had 1 peddling without a license. We had 1 disorderly conduct. We had 1 suspended registration, 2 disorderly conduct public intoxications, and we had 13 motor vehicle accidents, which is pretty high for a month. Well, for year to date, we had 14 arrests in April and 35 arrests for the year, and 2 DWI arrests, 5 for the year. We had 112 uniform traffic tickets also issued in the month of April. And that's the report for the police department. For the fire department, in the month of April 2024, the members of the fire department volunteered for 1,839 man hours. During the month, the officers and members responded to 43 calls for service. These calls included 4 motor vehicle accidents, with 1 person needed to be medevaced to Stony Brook Hospital. We had 3 brush fires, 1 chimney fire, 1 house with an issue with the fireplace, and 1 mutual aid to a structure fire. April is always an extremely busy month within the department. With the warmer weather and summer approaching, you'll see that the training will increase. We had our first round of biannual hose tests, so you might notice some of the trucks on the familiar streets testing their hoses, hooking up to the truck and the hydrant. There'll be a lot of firematic activity with that. And we also had our annual inspection dinner where we celebrate all our members' accomplishments for the year. And that's the fire department. For the Sag Harbor Volunteer Ambulance Corps for the month of April 2024, we had 49 calls for service, emergency calls. We had 5 work nights, 2 meetings, 2 training sessions, 1 drill, and 1 work detail for a total of 904 man hours. And that's the reports for the emergency services. We'll turn it over to our deputy mayor, trustee Hay, for the Justice Court, Parks, Open Space, Planning, and the Planning Board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be relatively brief. The Justice Court activity has been on par with last year's, both activities and revenues. We note that there's the recent hiring of TCOs should cause an uptick in revenues on the parking side at least. In addition, the Parks and Open Space Committee received responses to the RFPs as it issued. There are 2 responses for each, the traffic and the environmental RFPs. We'll circulate those and start assessing those this week. In addition, the planning board, the capital planning advisory committee has been meeting and has been working with the treasurer on an initial draft of a capital plan for the village. It'll be the first one the village has. It'll take some time to actually put together the capital plan, but early drafts are being developed, and a model is being prepared by the treasurer. In addition, actually, I'll leave it there. Later on this agenda, we'll be hiring outside counsel as well to help advise the capital planning advisory committee especially to look at structures for alternative financings available to the village for some of the capital planning needs that the villages face. The planning board has been very active. Many things pending before the board. Significant projects are coming before the board, but it seems to be running relatively smoothly.
Thank you. That brings us to Trustee Corish with the Sewer Department, Village Grants, and the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Thank you, Mayor. Start off with the sewage treatment plant. Following report, the total gallons received in the month was 1,957,000 gallons. Total gallons of sludge removed was 24,400 by Quackenbush on 4/19. DMO reports were forwarded 0506. Suffolk County DHS inspection, the next inspection will be 0709. New York State DC inspection as always is open. We had no complaints for the month. Summary of operations, wastewater treatment plant running well under all permitted levels, and we're now operating on 2 of the 5 basins. Suffolk County Health Department inspection on the 5th of April was satisfactory, which is the highest rating. Which means that absolutely everything on the list of maybe 45, 50 items all checked out, which is bears testament to the good work being done down there by the team. Benson Contracting, we're out for service for VFD drive in the pump station. That all worked out. Flow from March through April was an increase of 231,000 gallons. So things are starting to get a little busier on Main Street. Grants, nothing specific to report for grants. We're looking at various ideas of what we can apply to New York State CFA for future granting from the state. So we're looking at projects around the village, starting to shift focus away from sewering a little bit for now onto surface water. So that's going to be more of a theme as we move ahead, the stormwater abatement. So you can expect to hear more about that as the year progresses. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Corish. That would bring us to Trustee Plum, who is not present. I just had a couple of comments as far as Public Works goes. As Charles had mentioned there, we did have 2 paving projects. One that went from Main Street here, almost down, I think, to the Cove Deli, or in that area that ended in. We just did one right here on Bay Street. Also, I have something to report on the clock that we've been working on. So myself, Trustee Plum, and D. Yardley, we've been coming up with a design. I've handed the paperwork that we had and what we were looking at over to the Sag Harbor Partnership, who is taking a close look at it and has managed to raise $3,750 to date to pay for the clock. So there's tremendous interest in getting our clock back up on Main Street. I think
Functioning.
Yeah, functioning clock. I think one of it, there might be a very, let's say, modest backlight to the clock so that at night you'll be able to at least see what time it is. So that's what we're working, a little glow, so to speak. So we've been working on that together. And that's all I have on Public Works. We'll see. Trustee Plum will be back for June to give us some more reports. He did submit to us, by the way, a map of parking. I believe it was it Bar Harbor?
Bar Harbor, yeah.
It was very interesting the way that they had approached their parking on the street, on street parking, and I don't believe it's on tonight's agenda because I wanted trustee Plum here to speak about it, but he did share that with all the trustees. It was very interesting information. So that brings us to trustee Kane for Building Department, Harbor and Docks, and the Harbor Committee.
So the building department was busy for the month of April with 19 permits going out, 90 inspections, and 23 violations. So as you can see, they were busy out there. As the revenue, same as Charles had mentioned, it was 37,000 odd for the month of April, but the pace that we're running at for a total of 294,000 odd is about 20% ahead of where we were last year in April, which was about 246,000. So it's just nice to see the revenues coming in, and they're busy. The other thing I wanted to mention is with the rental permits, this being the first year that we've actually done the rental permits, we've issued 37 rental permits to date. But the one thing that is interesting is this summer looks to be a very slow rental season. The majority of the 37 are summer rentals. I believe it might be 3 that were year round, just to give everyone an idea of what bucket they go into. But there are just about as many 30 plus that are in the file waiting for a lease. So the one thing that, given that this is our first time to do it, we're learning, we're observing. We'll have to see, for people who aren't going to be renting this year, we would still really want to promote them to be doing the safety piece. So the way it's structured now is you really don't file for the permit unless you're going to have a lease. So perhaps maybe we can review that and think about changing it for next year. It's just something that we're aware of at this point. We'll see how the rest of the summer plays out, but I just wanted to share that we've noticed that, we've been discussing that in the building department. So they've been busy, as you can see, and on the fire safety side, there were 28 inspections and a fair number of violations, so busy there. And then 4 outdoor dining reviews as we're beginning to come into the season. On the harbor side, as Charles mentioned, the boat was delivered. We actually had christening celebration this Saturday, which was nice. And I think it's just it's nice to see the crowd, the group that came to see it, but then also people just walking by were very interested and got a little tour, and children that were on it were very excited to see it. And of course, the harbor master is very excited just to be able to, if there is a need, to be able to be there for them and to be able to play the role quickly, much quicker than we were with the 27-year-old boat that we had prior to this. So, but on the serious side, working together with the fire department, they've been doing mutual training, given the new boat, new technology, there's new machines that everyone needs to be totally up to speed on, so that if the need is there, everyone can be very efficient on it. Also, with all the outer mooring, the 67 available mooring slots were all applied for. They're there. We begin to see boats coming out. The moorings are in the water. And then also the ties, which is the first season that we'll have the ties. They've been distributed and people are starting to use them. The harbor masters have begun to do their first MSD inspections. So kicked off to a quick start, even though we're really just in the beginning of May. And just on the number side, it's 59,000 odd for the month. That's versus last year of 30,000. So we are running at a pace of over 100,000 versus last year. So it's a good start.
Okay, thank you. So that concludes our department committee reports. I need a motion to accept the reports.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Corish. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by deputy mayor Hay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. That brings us to our public comment section. We have 15-minute public session, input for comments and questions. Limit 3 minutes per speaker concerning the treasurer's report and the department reports. Any comments? Yes, sir. Would you like to step forward and speak?
Good evening, Mayor Gardella, trustees. You may recall, maybe not, but I was here about 6 months ago.
Excuse me, can I ask you-
People from.
Pardon me, can I ask you to identify
I'm
yourself?
sorry. Tom Thorpe, 188 Suffolk Street.
Thank you.
And you may recall that a group of us from Suffolk were here the evening you approved the change in the speed limit to 25 miles an hour. I'm here to follow up on, very briefly on 3 things. First, thank you for that approval. We believe, there has been improvement in the traffic flow. People are beginning to, they're thinking about slowing down, many of them are. We still have a chronic number of local residents, contractors, et cetera, who seem to believe the extension is part of a Formula One racetrack. So, they're speeding, they're well above the mean limit. So we would like to encourage through the police department for some added enforcement, speed enforcement along there. Typical times are rush hour in the morning, I'll say 7:30 to 9, in the evening, roughly 4:30 to 6. And it seems to pick up on the weekends. And that's issue is beginning to increase now that we're coming into later spring and early summer. Nonetheless, thank you for making that change. It has helped us. In the discussion around that change, there were 2 items that I think are still out there. One is lowering the speed limit again to 20 miles per hour. And if my recollection is correct, Mayor Gardella, you were collecting a number of names of streets that would be forwarded to the appropriate authorities at the state to get their approval of those changes. That's one item. The second item.
Just to interrupt you there. So we're collecting data. We have, as you see, you see those speed. They track the speed and they tell you when you're going too fast. So we're collecting all that data so we can back up. Saying, look, these people are speeding or they're going between 30 and 35. If we lower it to 20, it could decrease the speed, hopefully.
We
But
also
again,
have a mobile
enforcement-
box that we
Yeah,
move around.
yeah.
Yeah, those are the little things that are.
Enforcement is the key, and
Yeah.
our police force is limited, and in the summertime, they're even more limited because they get called away or there's multiple calls, as you saw, 700 calls almost this month.
Yeah.
So the number just keeps, we're doing the best that we can.
Yeah, we understand. We just want you to be aware that there's still an issue out there.
Yes.
And that data for the speed checks, that's gonna go ahead at what, do you have a time frame on that?
We have already collected a bunch of data that Chief Drake has,
Okay,
so we have a bunch of it, yes.
okay, and that'll get to the state.
I have to list the roads that we want to change to 20 miles per hour, which is pretty much to me is all the residential roads. And then bring it forward to the state. And then they'll have to petition the representatives there to pass the legislature to change the roads to 20 miles an hour. So it takes, it's a slow, not something, 25 miles an hour, we can do relatively quickly.
Right.
But something like that, it's going to take some time.
Okay. The second item that was part of the discussion back in, I guess, December-ish was that of speed bumps, speed humps, rumble strips, something to remind people that they need to slow down. Is there any further development on that I can relay back to the Suffolk Street folks?
I've changed, I was totally against putting speed bumps in or speed humps because of the emergency service vehicles, the toll that it takes on the plows and but I see that the program that happened in Sagaponic seems to be working.
Yes.
But again, it's something that I would be willing to look at. At this time, I'm not for putting in speed bumps or speed humps throughout the village, but it's something that I would be willing to look at.
Okay, is there a group sort of collecting information about that in terms of what's entailed, how
No,
much?
Not that I know of. Yeah. Again, there's the cost for it also.
Sure. Well, I think if you needed some volunteers to participate in such a group, I may be able to round up a folk or two up on Suffolk Street who might be willing to assist if that was useful.
Right. The thing is, I don't want to create a hazard in the name of preventing a hazard.
Understood.
So if you, Sagaponic, there's a long stretch, as you know, and they're placed in certain areas. Sag Harbor has a lot of short roads. They're winding roads. I'm not so sure that a speed bump is the way to go. But again, I said I'd be willing to look at it.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm not 100% opposed to
If
it.
there's anything we can provide a person or two to be of assistance on a committee or however you would choose to
Okay,
address that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Nobody else? Okay, that brings us to our introduction section. This is to introduce a resolution setting a public hearing to consider a local law amending Village Code, Part 2, Chapter 215, 215-1, 2, and 3, and Part 2, Chapter 300, Article 2, 300-2.2, and Article 11, Chapter 300, 300-11.8 to allow the short-term rental of rooms in owner-occupied residences. Did you want to do a brief on this,
So this is
Council?
the local law. The resolution is going to set a public hearing for June 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. to amend the rental code to allow for the short-term rental of up to between 1 to 3 bedrooms in an owner-occupied residence. So that's something that was not addressed in the first iteration of the rental law that was adopted. And we wanted to address that for those residents that may or may not be renting 1 to 3 bedrooms out of their homes, as long as it's owner occupied. That's the distinction. So to do that, we had to amend several sections of the code, which you can see in the proposal of the law. And essentially it all works together to allow the short-term rental of up to 1 to 3 bedrooms in an owner occupied residence in the Village of Sag Harbor.
So this is just an introduction.
Correct.
We'll discuss it at next month's meeting, which is June 11th, I believe. So I need a motion to introduce the law.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Kane, a second.
Second?
Seconded by deputy mayor Hay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Resolution setting a public hearing to consider a local law amending paid parking regulations in chapter 265, section 47 and 47.1 to create paid parking at certain village parking lots. Did you want to also brief on
Sure, so
this?
this is another introduction, setting a public hearing for June 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. And this is to address the paid parking. You had a work session on this recently, and the proposal is to allow to create paid parking lots at 5 Bridge Street and 51 Meadow Street. And that's it, from 10 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. from May 1st through and including October 15th during the year. So those 2 lots would be designated paid parking zones
Okay,
under the code.
I'll make that motion.
okay, do I have a second?
Second?
Seconded by deputy mayor Hay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We have nothing on the public hearing section. We have a continued public hearing. We have a local law amending Village Code 300, Attachment 2, Table of Dimensional Regulations to limit the gross floor area per business establishment occupancy, square feet, to 2,000 square feet in the office district. I believe we have already opened this.
Yes, this is a continued public hearing. At the last public hearing, this board heard from a resident and former trustee who indicated that this was not something that was contemplated by the 2008 planning study. And they encouraged us to reach out to InterScience, the company that drafted that study. So we did, and we heard back from InterScience through its president, Richard Warren, that the proposal we're doing to limit the maximum gross floor area per business establishment occupancy in square feet in the office district to 2,000 square feet is not necessarily in contravention of the 2008 planning study, because that study actually really focused on the vibrancy and preserving the vibrancy of the businesses on Main Street. And so the limitation of the 2,000 square foot limit that was established at that point for the businesses in Main Street was to establish smaller shop spaces to protect the diversity and the vibrancy of the businesses on Main Street. And really, they didn't really contemplate, even though they created the office district, they didn't contemplate, over time, how the office district would develop. And so certainly, he said, after 16 years, it's up to this board to consider the contemporary planning issues and respond accordingly for your village.
So we're open for public comments. Would anybody like to comment on this in the public? We have anybody on Zoom? So we can close this public hearing. So I need a motion to close.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay, seconded by Trustee Corish. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
To adopt.
So we have a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Corish, second.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. That brings us to discussion items. We have Safe in Sag Harbor, Spring Campaign, Boat Safe, and Boat Sober. Ilana? Why don't you just come up and tell everybody who you are?
Amen. Can I give you all something that's part of? the
Sure.
presentation?
Yeah.
Doesn't love swag, right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sway your opinion, it's just.
Does this actually float? Am I gonna? We don't
Will
know.
your keys float?
I'll try.
Maybe not in the water.
Okay.
Ocean, and I put some for everybody else, just leave out keychains that say boat safe, boat sober, so everybody can have. Hi there.
Hi.
Good evening. My name
Good
is
evening.
Alana Urban Marino. I am the Director of Community Engagement for HUGS and the Project Coordinator for Safe in Sag Harbor, which is a local drug-free community coalition. We are a coalition of dedicated partners in Sag Harbor working together toward community changes that reduce youth access to alcohol and other drugs. We've partnered on a bunch of events throughout the years. We're in year 9 of our coalition. We've been part of this community for a long time. We participate, we head up something called the sticker shop, which is stickers that go on cases of beer and alcohol in some of the retailers on Main Street and in and around Sag Harbor. And these stickers say, don't sell this to minors, don't provide this to minors. We've put stickers on over $10,000 worth of alcohol merchandise over the years that we've been doing this. We host medication takebacks. We host something called tips trainings, which I just completed with Sen, Que Pasa, and 2 other restaurants, 26 of their staff, to train them in responsible alcohol and beverage service. And we participate in environmental design campaigns, like with Mashashanuit Park. We put up signs, 7 signs that that state that alcohol and other drug use is not allowed in the park, but things like fun and support and respect and laughter are. And you can see these signs there. We partnered with the Sag Harbor American Music Festival to put up signs about responsible alcohol and drug use, and also to not drive under the influence of alcohol and other drugs. And we worked with this board back in 2020 when the option to have cannabis retail in the village of Sag Harbor was up for debate, and we were definitely in favor of not having that. And so we thank you again for that support. The Boat Safe, Boat Sober campaign, I just wanted to give you a little context in case you weren't sure who we were. So the Boat Safe, Boat Sober campaign aims to promote common sense boating practices and responsible alcohol and other drug use by folks who are on boats, by folks who are 21 and over. With the village's support, we can develop guidelines for boaters. So you see some of a draft of one of the signs. If you go, this was a couple of pages. If you go to the 3rd page, yeah, that one. So that is one. These are mock-ups. I don't yet have permission to officially use the photo in any way, but I would be asking for it. It's from the East Hampton Star. I thought it was a beautiful picture of the Longwood.
I happen to like the photograph.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, and I'm hopeful that they would support their photo being used for something like this. And so we would work to make sure that the language reflected that of Sag Harbor and of the common sense practices that we want to encourage, which is not boating under the influence, having a sober skipper at the helm, and making sure that alcohol and drug use while on a vessel or while in Sag Harbor is done responsibly. And we would love to, Safe in Sag Harbor it's part of our mission and part of our funding. We're a federally funded coalition, so we would be able to cover the cost, just like we did with Mash Park, of all of the signage. So we would be able to cover the cost and installation for signs like this in and around Sag Harbor. We've identified potential locations for permanent signs promoting boat safe, boat sober, including down the Long Wharf by the Dockmasters Building in Marine Park, Steinbeck Park, and Havens Beach. Like I said, Safe is willing to cover the cost for this, and there's also potential for messaging in parks and the waterfront areas to address the legalization of cannabis and the use that goes on by folks there. And all public spaces are supposed to be alcohol and drug free, so we would love to partner with the village to support that. Our collaboration with you can make a positive impact on awareness while creating a safer environment for everybody. And we look forward to hearing your thoughts on this.
I had a question about, when I spoke to you and Kelly, we were discussing about the sign that would go in Steinbeck Park, where we had safe practices, the things that we promote.
Yes,
And-
so that was similar to the one for Mash Park, and I don't know why it wasn't included in this, but I can email a follow-up and I can email a picture of the sign and I can show you all after. But it was a beautiful sign. I have it on my email if that's something that you would want to see. You can pass it around if you want. These are the signs that we put up in Mash Park. They're 24 by 36 signs. They're metal. They're on 4 by 4 inch wood posts, and they're gorgeous. We put them up over the summer,
Say yes and no.
and then we were a featured part of. We were able to partner with them for their 5K and have a lot of support around that. So we're really grateful for that. It's messaging that doesn't scold people for their use. It's not saying don't do this. This is really bad. It's saying things that we want in our community.
It's definitely clever how,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
clever how you're doing it to get them to smile and
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't want to shame people who are over 21 years old for using things. We also know that in public spaces and in all of these spaces, alcohol and drug use is not supposed to be done. And so we want to make sure that Sag Harbor remains the family-friendly, wonderful place that it is. We know that it's a popular place for folks to come all summer long, and we want to make sure that we can do our part in helping reduce the amount of dangerous circumstances that might come if somebody is over intoxicated. That's why we're really grateful that we're partnering with the restaurants, with the restaurant groups from the Chamber of Commerce. So we just trained 26 staff in this responsible beverage service training. So that helps them properly look at identification. It helps them have conversations with folks, have communication in case they are wondering if it's a real ID or something like that. And so it's a really wonderful part of the work that we do, and we think it can be a part of this because this boat safe, boat sober really extends to everybody in Sag Harbor as people would come into town.
do you go into the schools and do classes with the schools?
So our parent organization, HUGS, Human Understanding and Growth Services, does. We are currently, HUGS just finished up, I think it was grades 6, 7, and 8 in the middle school, and we've done it for the past bunch of years doing a program called Too Good for Drugs, which is an evidence-based curricula. It's 10 weeks long. And so that's not specifically under SAFE, but we're cousins because we're all run by the same organization. And
Okay,
we also, HUGS also runs the Long Island Teen Institute, which is a leadership conference. And so we're taking 4 Sag Harbor youth out along with teams of youth from 15 different schools. So it's going to be about 150 students and adults out on Shelter Island this weekend, developing action plans for how to improve their community. So we work with, SAFE works with those youth. They're part of our youth coalition. So they are instrumental in our work as well.
that's great.
Really proud of
Have you identified specific locations within Mash Park that?
So the signs are already up in Mash Park.
Yeah.
There's one by the grandstand, back by the.
Oh,
little
Mash Park,
field.
sorry, I meant to say Steinbeck Park.
No.
We
so
haven't really
didn't-
discussed that
We
yet.
didn't
No.
identify specific spaces.
And we
but
would have
when
to
we
ask
spoke with
Southampton
Mayor
Town.
Canal-
Yeah, there's just so that we're
We could
aware,
approve
there's,
it, yeah, we could approve it, but then we'd have to
there's
ask
a level
Southampton.
Oh, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it would be a.
okay, and there's also other sign requests in the village, and I
There's a lot of signs.
Yeah.
just think we might need to look at this holistically.
Of
So
course.
that we don't have this hodgepodge of signs everywhere.
Yeah.
So that we could create little mini environments for signs if we feel like they're appropriate. And they will go in a certain place, so at least it's a cohesive
Yeah.
signage
absolutely.
message as opposed to an ad hoc
Yeah.
situation. I think it's a great idea. I love your signs and I think it's a great message to get out there.
And this is,
I will.
Yeah.
What we're really glad that Ash Park was able to do was we put our signs at each of the entrances
Mhm.
to the park, and so they're double-sided, so people see them when they come and they go, but it's not, and there's one in the parking lot by the playground but it's not like, they're not all over the place.
Right.
And they're wagging at people, but
Right.
also,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to
Yeah.
be there.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
have a question for council about drinking in public, drinking outside of an establishment.
It's like open alcohol. It's already in the penal law. Open alcohol. I don't know the section, but it's something enforced by the police department.
The only thing, remember during
COVID, it was
COVID, during
relaxed.
COVID,
Right.
it
that was
was,
relaxed
it
during
was-
COVID.
yeah.
Was that just an enforcement?
Has
I
it-
have to
relaxation?
check and see what the
Yeah.
status is
Would you
now.
please check this? I want to make sure that we're not creating law, that we're consistent with the law, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, we're talking about operating.
Yes,
Yeah,
this,
can't do
this
that.
sign,
That's totally
when we talk about the parks, and signage that would go
You
for the
shouldn't be
parks.
drinking in public with an open container.
Um,
It's,
Sorry.
no, just in New York State did change the rules, and so where are they?
Yeah.
I'll find out.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. All right. Thank you, Alana.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's a good
Thank
question.
That brings us, thank you, Alana. That brings us to climate smart communities, about solar panels. So Mary Ann, can you tell us, tell everybody?
96 Hampton Street, thank you. This is Climate Smart Communities' first cousin, which is Clean Energy Communities. Climate Smart is pretty much a DEC program, and Clean Energy Communities is a NYSERDA program. So the thing that's great here, slide, is this is our scoreboard, because if you see the 5 items there, those are all projects that we did for Climate Smart Communities. But the wonder of it is that that translated into points under Clean Energy Communities. So we've got a total of 1,900 points just for doing what we did for Climate Smart. Now, you know that we got this certification for Climate Smart. That was like April 25th. Thank you, Mayor Popo. And
Governor Holcomb,
what did I say?
Mayor.
Mayor,
Oh, yes.
That's all right. I didn't mean to.
Governor, slide. So because we did that, slide, we get 800 points. So 800 points plus the 1,900 points that we got, it's 2,700 points. Next slide. So this, well, that's okay. So 3,000 points, if we can get from 2,700 to 3,000, brings us to the 2-star level in clean energy communities. And that gives us a $50,000 in the match grant. And that's just to prove that what I'm telling you is true. You see, they have designations for little communities like us, up to 40,000, and then the bigger ones. This is only good if we get this done by the end of September. Okay. The other thing that's true is that we got a $5,000 grant and a $10,000 grant. But they gave us the $10,000 grant. I'm going, well, this is great. We were supposed to get a $5,000 grant first. And they went, oh, that's right. Where was that? Well, it took a lot of moving around and they went, oh, we forgot that. So then we got the $5,000 grant. The problem is that because of that lag there, our $10,000 grant is expiring on May 22nd, which is about a week away.
What do we need to spend? What is appropriate for that?
Oh, thank you for asking.
Sorry, I didn't.
So for the 300 points, slide please. We want to put a 5-kilowatt solar array on the sewage treatment plant. And it's only 11 panels there. You can see there's lots of room. It's not crowded. It's not bumping up against any piece of vital equipment. And that will give us 600 points. So give us a lot of lead.
And D. Yardley is very much in support of this as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's been very cooperative. I didn't, yeah. And Bob Plum has been very helpful.
Yes.
So we had 3 proposals. Next slide. And one is from Sun Nation, one is from Harvest, and one is from Green Logic. And you can see what the gross cost is. It ranges from pretty much 29,000 to 32,000. But we get something that homeowners, they get these tax deductions But when you're a nonprofit, non-tax-paying entity, you get a 30% direct pay of the system cost. So the next line shows you that that's subtracted. The next is the lost but now found $5,000 grant. After that, it's the $10,000 grant that's gonna go away in a week. And it brings the cost down to between $5,700 and $7,300, depending on the vendor. So one of the things I did is I took a look at what our charging station makes us every year. And that has been continuing to go up. And right now, we're sort of on track. Charles is still here, yes, he is. We're gonna probably make about $12,000 this year on that. Right?
You did say to me that customers, there were some complaints about the rate that we were charging.
Yeah, there have been some complaints about that.
So my question is, is there a way we can get this, not lose this grant or apply or put some paperwork in to extend it so we don't lose the $10,000 for the solar panels?
No, we're just gonna get this done by next week. Trust me.
What do you need to do to get it over the line, just from
I
a
need you guys to
procedural
say
point of
okay.
view?
All
To-
right, so
But to what specifically?
you're kind of disrupting my flow.
I'm sorry, I just interested.
Wait a minute, am I taking too long?
No.
Okay, so anyway, so it comes down, if we take this is like a no cost thing if you take the green income into account. The fact that we're making money on the charging station, we have cost avoidance on the solar panels on the firehouse. So cost is not really an issue. So it comes down to which of the three vendors would we want to go with. Next slide. Okay. I'm sorry, can you go back? All right. So you can see that they're all about the same. There's not a lot of difference. Even if you don't take that green income into account, that we're talking about $5,000. $5,000, if we go forward with this, all we have to do is get this thing moving, is we get $50,000. So that's a pretty good payback, right? So which of these three proposals would we want to take? Next slide. So this is beyond the numbers. Are there differences? I think we're all aware that the sewage, well, maybe not. The solar panels on the firehouse, after about a year or two, had a big problem. They went and they looked at the manufacturer, oops, gone. They went to look at the installer, oops, gone. So we were left holding the bag. So this is like taking a look at who these people are and where their warranties are coming from. So this is Sun Nation and Harvest. Green Logic did not respond. But they all have, and these are manufacturers' warranties. So it's better than the guy who's putting it on the roof. These are actually the manufacturers that are behind this. And then the laborers also has a warranty on it. The other thing that over there in the blue column is the dashboard. So I like this. This is something that we can look at on our phones if you want to, and it's going to tell us how much power we're generating. And Harvest also said that we would be able to hook something like that up to the firehouse, and we can see how much energy we're generating off of these solar panels in both locations. So, next slide. All three proposals were roughly equivalent. Sun Nation is the provider for Solarize East Hampton. They have satisfied customers. Green Logic is widely known and recommended by Lynn Arthur. Harvest was enthusiastically, I can't tell you how enthusiastically, recommended by George Butts of North Haven, where the system has performed without incident for years. Next slide. So then I went to the Better Business Bureau. Let's see what these guys are doing there. So Harvest and Sun Nation both have an A+ rating. And if you go to Angie's list, they both have a 4.8 rating. Green Logic is not registered with the Better Business Bureau, which is kind of interesting, but so there's no rating, but they also have a 4.8 rating on Angie's list. Their one complaint with Green Logic was that they were arrogant and rude. But anyway, I found that Harvest to be responsive, to be patient, to be willing to explain details, and I recommend that we go with Harvest.
We would need,
Can
we
we-
would need a resolution, wouldn't we?
So it's just a
Okay.
resolution, when you're gonna do a construction for a municipality, you have to comply with the bidding requirements under General Municipal Law 103. And our procurement policy, which was adopted by the village. And I just have to make sure that, you know, when you have to bid out these jobs, these works.
I mean, it sounds like Mary Ann has
Sometimes
done most of the
depending-
groundwork. though.
Yes, absolutely, which is great. This is a great presentation, but your treasurer really has to make sure that you're complying with the bidding requirements and the procurement policy of the Village of Sag Harbor before you pick an entity, which makes it hard to comply with the 1 week issue of the grant. So I'm just,
Hard but not impossible.
Right.
okay,
Is there,
I would say
is
we-
there any chance, you can go talk to them, say, we're in the process, we're working hard on it, this is how far we are. We're just doing final due diligence and making sure procedurally we're doing it properly, that they would,
Yes, but I would say that's about a 1 in 500 chance.
yeah, I just had to ask.
So with something more, like if there was a proposal that we wanted to proceed with this project, we wanted to go to bid, like, what's the threshold we have to reach for the 10,000? Are we talking about a signed contract or an expression of intent to go ahead and do this with a board resolution?
Well, it's a
to get the
little more
grant.
complicated than that, because we have to be able to divide it into 2 pots to get the both $5,000 and the $10,000 grant. We need to be able to sort of segregate them out. So I talked to Harvest, which I thought was the most likely, thinking that whatever they said, the others would do if you preferred another one. And they said, yeah, we could do like a contract that said, this is for the inverters. And that's $5,000, and then something else is like $10,000 for the rest of it, so that we can qualify for both.
Well, let's put our heads together and see
Yeah.
if we can make this happen.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a matter of filing some paperwork and making sure we followed the process, we should make a push on it.
Tomorrow? Okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mary.
So before you go, there was a $50,000 grant as well. What's
Well,
required
if
for
we
that?
do, if we get this, if we sign the contracts,
Yeah.
that's the 5 and 10.
Yeah,
But if we
Then you get
install
the
this
600
thing
points.
by September 30th,
gotcha.
we get a 50,000
No
no
match.
match grant.
Okay. And who's the granting entity? Just a matter of interest, who
It's sort of,
is, okay. And one last question, and I promise this, that we had to raise our points to 3,000.
say
But
what? Yeah, we
Wait,
have points of
3,000. What do we need to do? Is there any thought or any information on what we would need to do to get to 3,000? Are there, with these projects,
This
get
one
us to
project.
3,000?
This project would get us.
The solar
over
project.
That would
Oh,
get
for
us
the
to
3,000.
600. That would get us to 600.
Yeah, because we're very close. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
So that's
Thank you.
lower than the rest.
So
of
it's really $50,000.
Yeah.
You're talking about.
Yeah.
That's what you're
We
really
can do
looking at.
this, I think.
Yeah.
hopefully.
Just want to make sure we're not running afoul of the RFP requirements.
Yes, that's.
Yeah, well, that's it.
The only thing, as we do know, several
that-
of these solar companies.
Yes.
That brings us to our action items.
Thank you.
We have a walk-on, which is Resolution May 2024 Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor. And this goes to what was just spoken about. Resolution to authorize the placement of boat safe, boat sober signs. Resolved, the Board of Trustees authorizes and supports Safe in Sag Harbor for the placement of boat safe, sober signs in the Village of Sag Harbor. From what we discussed, there was one at the dockmaster's house as people come onto the ramp and off the ramp. And then we discussed one at the harbor master's office.
Would these be onto existing structure? or we-
Yes, onto existing
Okay.
structure.
And so 2 signs we're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the boat
what
safe.
size are they? Just,
That I know of. What size would the signs be, Alana?
okay,
Okay.
all right, well, let's, okay, sounds good.
We can figure out the,
Yep.
all right, so we need a motion on that?
I'll move it.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay, second,
Second,
seconded by Trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We have Robert Drake, Chief of Police, requests authorization to hire the following part-time traffic control officers for the 2024 season, effective May 17th, 2024, at the rate of $19 an hour. We have Flavio Pena Gutierrez, Abigail Juarez Flores, Carla Morales, Lucy Gardella, Navian Mabry, Michaela Cantrell, and Matt Barkwell. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay, a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Corish. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Carrie Garapi, Secretary of the Sag Harbor Volunteer Ambulance Corps, requests authorization to hire Brian Danowski as a paramedic effective May 15th, 2024, at the rate of $37 an hour.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Corish,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Kane. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Authorization for Kathleen O'Grady to take an online accounting principles and procedures course on June 12th, 2024, and June 13th, 2024. Have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Kane, second.
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Hay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Resolution, May 2024, Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor, resolution accepting resignation. Resolved that the Village Board of Trustees hereby accepts the resignation of Rosemary Casacelli as Secretary to the Mayor. Be it further resolved, Mrs. Casacelli, last day of employment will be May 31st, 2024.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay, seconded by Trustee Corus. All those in favor? Opposed? So moved. Resolution, May 2024, Incorporated Village, Sag Harbor Resolution of the Board of Trustees approving appointment of Drew Harvey as an alternate member to the Planning Board. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sag Harbor hereby appoints Drew Harvey to the position of alternate member on the Planning Board effective immediately. Be it further resolved that this term will expire in July of 2024.
I'll move it.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Richard Chivoni, Secretary to the Fire Department, requests to accept the resignation of Darius Dorf Lowry and remove him from the insurance rolls. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Corr, second.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Resolution, May 2024, Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor authorizes notice to proposers RFP for the Sag Harbor Landfill Environmental Consulting Services. Resolved, the village clerk is authorized to publish a request for Sag Harbor Landfill Environmental Consulting Services at 55 Main Street per the following. Says, take notice, the sealed proposals will be received by the village clerk, Village Hall, 55 Main Street, Sag Harbor, on or before Thursday, June 27, 2024, by 2 p.m. RFP, Village of Sag Harbor, the Sag Harbor Landfill Environmental Consulting Services. Specifications are available for the beginning on Thursday, May 16, 2024, at 9 a.m. at the village clerk's office, 55 Main Street, Sag Harbor, Monday through Friday, except holidays between 9 and 4. Please note, each proposal must be submitted in a sealed envelope clearly marked the Sag Harbor Landfill Environmental Consulting Services with your company name. A list of those who have submitted proposals will be made available at the village clerk's office, 55 Main Street, Sag Harbor, New York. Proposers must comply with all federal, state, and local laws. The village board of the Village of Sag Harbor reserves the right to waive any informalities in bids received and or reject any and or request for proposals. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay, second.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Corus. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Resolution, May 2024, Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor, resolution for mayor to sign an engagement letter for legal services with Harris Beach PLLC. Resolved, Mayor Gardella is authorized to sign an engagement letter with Harris Beach PLLC for general advice and assistance with respect to innovative structure to acquire, hold, transfer, surplus, develop, maintain, and or finance real property and improvements within the Village of Sag Harbor. And be it further resolved that the hourly rate is not to exceed $650 per hour.
I'll move it.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay, second.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Just to make everybody aware, Harris Beach is a, resident in the community, is around. I believe he lives in Noyak.
Yes, the partner who's primary on our case is a Noyak resident. Andres Komaromi, finance attorney, and very familiar with financing of municipalities.
Yes, thank you.
Great.
Resolution, May 2024, Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor, resolution authorizing extension of computer shared capability agreement. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Sag Harbor hereby authorizes the extension of the cooperative agreement for shared computer capability with the town of Southampton for the term January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2025, in the amount of $16,407.24. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Corr, second.
Second.
Seconded by deputy mayor Hay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Resolution, May 2024, Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor, resolution authorizing the mayor to sign an agreement with Harbor Tours Incorporated. Be resolved that Mayor Gardella is authorized to sign an agreement with Captain Donald Heckman of Harbor Tours to operate sightseeing cruises on the American Beauty 2 from Long Wharf for the 2024 boating season. Have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Kane, second.
Second.
Seconded by deputy mayor Hale. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Resolution, May 2024, Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor, resolution to appoint Robert Calvert as an election inspector, for the 2024 general village election. Resolved that Robert Calvert shall be appointed as an election inspector for the general village election to be held on June 18th, 2024. And be it further resolved that the compensation is to be $26 an hour.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Corr, second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Resolution, May 2024, Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor, resolution to authorize additional points or officer points for the Sag Harbor Fire Department. Resolved that the following positions will receive additional 10 LoSAP points per year. The additional duties are training officer. Do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by deputy mayor Hay, second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Authorization for Mayor Gardella to sign agreement with Kenny Deeg of the Sag Harbor Launch for the following. Use of a portion of the vacant lot at 45 Bay Street from the 2024 season for at the rate of $3,000. Rental of 4 moorings, spaces 1 through 4 on the west side of Long Wharf at the rate of $1,600 for the 2024 boating season. I just have a question on this. The vacant lot, this is not the lot with the Breakwater Yacht Club. This is a separate, they split it and the Breakwater Yacht Club is okay with that?
Yes.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Kane, second.
Second.
Second, but can I also, a comment for this and the next one? It's, the next one is about the split lot as well. And that's specific to the dates. The date has to be changed, I'm guessing, on the next one?
Yes.
Are the dates, do the dates apply to both, or are they different? Okay. So what's the appropriate dates?
June 1st.
June 1st, 24
Oh,
till
I see.
May 31st, 2027.
So
25.
it should say fiscal year, not boating season.
Okay,
Sorry.
All right. So with that correction, do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by deputy mayor Hay, second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Authorization for Mayor Gardella to sign an agreement with Breakwater Yacht Club to use the existing lot at 45 Bay Street for the sole purpose of winter storage for the term June 1st, 2024 to May 31st, 2025. So you got the dates right on that. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Motion by deputy mayor Hay, second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Resolution, May 2024, Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor, resolution to award the 2024 launch service to Kenneth Deeg. Be it resolved that the Incorporated Village of Sag Harbor award for the 2024 launch service to the sole bidder, Kenneth Deeg. Be it further resolved, the mayor is authorized to sign the agreement for the 2024 launch service. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Kane, a second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Corr. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Live Din
Good luck.
Ilias requests permission to obtain a peddler's permit to sell ice cream throughout the village for the 2024 season. I believe we've done this before. Last year we did it.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Motion by trustee Corus, second.
Second,
Seconded by trustee Kane. All those in favor?
aye.
Who doesn't love ice cream?
Exactly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I was gonna say everybody, but in favor.
Yeah.
Ice cream. Okay, Bill Quinn of the Abate of New York, Long Island chapter requests permission to ride through the village and over the bridge on Sunday, June 9th, 2024, from 12 to 1 p.m. We haven't had any feedback from Rob or, oh, what's that? We haven't had any problems with them.
There's been no bad response on the before.
All right, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Kane, second.
Second.
Seconded by deputy mayor Hale. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Kathy Murphy of Hampton Flea Incorporated requests to have Hampton Flea at the Old Whalers Church on July 20th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. She also requests to place a banner at the grassy area of Long Wharf on July 20th, 2024. We have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Corus, second.
Second,
Seconded by trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Kristen Santori of the church requests to hold a benefit fundraiser, summer dinner theater starring Martin Short at June 1st, 2024, from 5:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. The event will be held indoors at 48 Madison Street.
Does this fit, we've had discussions about this before, does this fit into general scheme of what has been discussed with neighbors and the number of events and all of that other?
so we,
I believe it does because it's a fundraiser. I believe it falls into what they were approved for. with
and the
planning.
fact that
Would you like
everything
to
is
speak?
inside.
Somebody's here.
Oh,
that'd
there's
like to
someone here.
speak.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
I'm Sherry Pastrella, Executive Director of the church at 48 Madison Street. With regards to this permit, the event is entirely indoors. And the distinction there is that we were unclear from the conversations that we had last year, whether or not we had to apply for something indoors. So our attorney, Chris Kelly, and Liz have exchanged letters, and in fact, we do not need to apply for an event that is entirely indoors. There are two small catering tents. We talked to Bruce Gavoni. He said we do not need permits for those because they are under the threshold of scale. So it's pretty straightforward, and in fact, had we known sooner, it didn't seem necessary to apply.
Sure.
But
My concern is the 11 o'clock. Why does it have to go so late? I mean, okay,
there is the performance until 9,
right?
and then there is a sort of after reception where people have dessert and talk to each other. And then they leave, and then spaces leave out, the caterers leave. I expect everybody to be out of the building at around 10, and I expect that the noise I mean, the noise will stop before then, but I don't think there'll be anybody on site past 11.
Because the complaints that we've got is from the catering tents, that the people that work in the tents are making noise. When they're cleaning up, they're making noise, and it's, if it goes past 11 or, it's gonna be an issue. I'm just telling you.
Quite a few steps to ameliorate that, and I think our neighbors would probably have to say that they agree that we've taken quite a few steps. So we have subsequent, the last time we've done this was the wedding that we received your approval for. And we took all of the advice that was given to us by our neighbors and by you all. That included, we moved the catering tent to the front of the property. We also had a debriefing with all of the catering staff. We wrote good neighbor policy and distributed that to our caterers in advance of the event and had them ensure that they shared it with all of their staff in advance of the event. So there were conduct that we trust. We also, on the day of the event, verified with the caterers that all of their staff had been debriefed on the good neighbors policy, and that they were able to follow and observe it. We did everything that we could to ensure that the noise from the wedding was as limited as possible. and I was told that it was. Since that time, we've also taken into consideration all of the feedback that we received from our neighbors in general, in order to respect their desire for quiet and healthy life. So we have made some of the events that do create a little bit more ambient noise. We've made them in early hours. We've pushed things that were from 7 to 10 to 6 to 9. We've also changed the equipment so that, and we also do sound checks. And in fact, we actually now have a couple of neighbors who have agreed to collaborate with us on sound checks so that we can monitor events over the course of the evening to make sure that it still falls within their comfort level. All of this, as far as we understand, shows an abundance of care because we're actually not like legally obligated. We're always under the decibel level. We're always under the time level. All of these events are indoors. Some of them have as few as 45 people at them. But it's to show everybody, our neighbors especially, that we really do take very seriously our role in the village as a safe space, as a place for creating joy and creativity, as a positive attribute to the village of Sag Harbor. We're doing everything that we can to make it on our work.
Can you tell us roughly how much experience you have with the new policies you put in place?
About a year now. The wedding happened last year.
September.
Well, we attended the village board meetings in July and August where all of this was hashed out. And immediately after that board meeting, I wrote the good neighbor policy, distributed it. It has now been included as well as distributing to caterers. It's been included in staff training now as well as in our company handbook, if you will. So it's been distributed as thoroughly as we can to make all people know that this policy that we abide by.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay, a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Trustee Corish. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. That brings us to accept March 2024 bank reconciliations and collateral report. We have a motion. Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay,
Second.
seconded by Trustee Corish. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? So moved. Kelly Dodds of the Sag Harbor American Music Festival requests permission to have the Sag Harbor Music Festival on Thursday, September 26th, 2024, from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday, September 28th, 2024, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday, September 29th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Requested locations are Marine Park and Steinbeck Park, also requesting permission to place a sign at the grassy area of Long Wharf, Route 114, and beside Hashemet Park from September 16, 2024 through September 29, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Corus, second.
Second.
Seconded by Trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Authorization to refund the following small claims assessments. This is for 2023. Jonathan Morse for $150.43. Catherine Sheehan, $258.30. Robert Wong, $1,447.21. Jesse Matsuoka for $187.41. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Corish. Second? We have a
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Hale. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Authorization to transfer the following to the 2024-2025 tax bills: sewer rent, water use and penalty arrears, police and fire, false alarms, and penalty arrears.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Kane, second.
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Hay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Authorization for the village clerk's office to remit payment to vendors for fiscal year 2023-2024.
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Corus, second.
Second.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Hay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Authorization for Mayor Gardella to sign tax warrant for the fiscal year June 1, 2024 to May 31st, 2025.
Move it.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Hay, do I have a
Second.
second? Seconded by trustee trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. We have the approval of payment for the bills. We have warrant 52 in the amount of $358,219.40. Warrant 53 in the amount of $493,251.60. Warrant 54 in the amount of $6,087.50. Do I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Corish. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Kane. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. That now brings us to our public comments section. We have 15 minutes. Public comment, input for comments and questions. Limit is 3 minutes per speaker. Nada?
Not a very good workshop. I just want to thank you for cutting the paid parking back to October 15th. Sure, many people are doing extremely.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Adam.
You're
It's a
welcome.
work in progress.
Yes, it is. Anybody else? We have a motion to adjourn.
Before we do, can I ask one question, just based on the comments from Suffolk Street and it started with Rosie here. Have we looked into speed cameras? In the,
So, speed cameras, not necessarily. I know we can't religious doing it. With ticketing, we haven't really dove down that avenue. The most we have obviously is those 4 speed signs. They collect data for us, and I have a couple toys, as I call them. One's called Stealth Stat, it's kind of hidden that I put up. And the other one's the mobile trailer that we move around, which also gives me data feedback. Other than that, we have not dove into the speed cameras that we would issue to.
What I heard, I was part of the discussion in East Hampton Village with these speed cameras. And from what I was told, and we'd have to confirm this, but that it doesn't go on your license as
no
points.
points, right?
No.
Just a
$50.
civil
It's
penalty.
the same exact thing as like New York City,
Right.
the red light cameras, when Suffolk had the red light cameras, it goes to the registered owner, it's not a point, it's just not very fun.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I wonder how much of those funds we would receive, or we have to share them.
Don't think you have to share anything.
Right.
I mean, it's not state involved, like the traffic tickets that we write, obviously, if somebody pleads guilty to a moving violation, a percentage of that money goes to the state.
Right.
Which I think is a far bigger percentage than what we get,
Mhm.
but with those just being village owned, I think that it'd be.
Just have to buy,
Something-
just have to buy the cameras.
Through whatever company
Yep.
wants
Right.
it, obviously, but other than that, the money, other than that, I think we would come back to the village.
And just given the limited resources we have of,
Yeah.
of people, it'd be interesting to see if having been subject to tickets by those before, they're an effective reminder to, okay,
I think the village, East Hampton Village just moved along with Canada, so.
Yeah.
could we ask you, the police department, to work with the treasurer just on the costs? And we can do a little analysis on what the payback might be on it, if there is one. But even if just as a safety issue, it might be a more cost-effective way for us to move forward
Yeah.
than to.
Sounds like a good idea.
Just on speed note, me and Chief Drake budgeted this year for kind of portable mounted speed signs, so they're battery, rechargeable batteries, and you mount onto like a street sign.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to move them more freely, because the
These
ones
are-
that we have that are set are very solar specific, and they have to be in the light a certain amount of time each day. So that's why with a lot of canopies on the roadways, we weren't allowed to put them in a lot of spots, so.
Yeah.
Most of Madison Street was out, which we wanted to put one there. So these will give us a little more flexibility to move around, apparently the last 7 to 10 days, so kind of bounce them around and give somebody just a visual reminder of those as well.
Okay.
I think it's worth.
Healthy reminders.
I
Thank
do
you.
know from.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant. Have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
I do know
Yes.
from,